My last video was about how to properly structure your monthly recurring revenue. You can watch that video, it's linked here or down in the description below. This video though is to tell you that you probably shouldn't even be doing monthly recurring revenue in the first place. So let's get right to it. We want monthly recurring revenue, MRR, because it's predictable. It makes us feel like we have more control over our business. When we have more control over our business, we feel like it's more of an asset. We have less stress and all this stuff, right? Well, we also think that, well, if it's an asset, it's more sellable. If I have this recurring revenue model, that someone else will want to buy this, and that'll make my business easier to sell. We also like to pretend that it makes us a partner with our client. Like, hey, we work together on a monthly basis from here on into eternity. And that's going to be fantastic for both of us, right? Except it almost never turns out that way. So why is monthly recurring revenue so difficult as a business model? If it's this panacea, if it's going to solve all of our problems and it's going to serve our clients properly, then why do so many agencies have problems with it? Why do they struggle? Why do they have high churn? Why do they have clients that kind of bully them, push them around? Well, because of a few factors that I'm going to go into right here, and you're going to learn about them and be able to hopefully strip them out of your business. And then what to do instead of monthly recurring revenue if monthly recurring revenue is not right for your business. First problem with monthly recurring revenue is that you're basically trying to create a productized service. You need something that's repeatable. You need something that does not vary from client to client to client, at least too much, for you to be able to charge a fee to your client and then be able to deliver something of value to them. So when people are paying on a monthly basis, they start to think, well, you're just doing labor. You're just doing the same things over and over again. And what happens when people think you're just doing labor? Well, they start thinking, I could get this labor cheaper. And that is why you'll get a lot of churn, is because somebody starts looking at your labor, your implementation, and determines that I could get this cheaper somewhere else, get the exact same results, I can get the exact same labor somewhere else, just cheaper. Another problem is that you're going to do more work than you're actually being paid for, because the client is going to start doing scope creep. They're going to start asking you to do additional things. The agency that I invested in, Contractor Dynamics, one of the things that we started cutting out was in our monthly service, our clients would start asking for, well, could you just make this change to our website? Could you just add this piece of content? Could you just do this one little thing? Just do the thing. And we started pushing back saying, no, I made that a rule in the company. No, we're not going to do that. Here's how much it's going to cost you. And that helped us to not overservice, to not deliver more labor than was being paid for. Part of this issue with the client wanting you to do more and more stuff is that they're paying you on a monthly basis. Maybe they're even paying you weekly even, kind of like an employee. So they're going to treat you similar to an employee, like they're just going to ask you to do lots of stuff because, well, I'm paying for you, right? So you do what I need done in my business, and I keep giving you a paycheck. This is something that you want to get away from. You don't want this to happen to you because you don't even get the benefit of being an employee. You don't get benefits, you don't get vacation time, you don't get any of the benefits of being an employee, but you get all the downsides of being one when your client starts looking at you as just the labor that they pay for every month. Here's a part that I see over and over again, and that's inside your company, is that when you're doing a monthly service, your employees, your contractors start goofing off. They start just doing whatever's necessary to just fill their day. They're not trying to do their best work on your clients. I go into every one of my clients and I ask them, where's your time tracking? And they say, oh, we don't do time tracking. We trust our people. We want our people to feel like they can just deliver results and they don't have to watch the clock. Then I ask, well, how do you know if you're profitable on a client? How do you know which clients are getting the right work if you don't know how much time is being spent on that client? They have no idea. They have no way of managing this. And then when you ask the employee who's supposed to know and who's supposed to be able to deliver great work, you ask the employee and they say, I don't know either. I don't know which parts of my work actually deliver the results that the company's being paid to deliver. So I just go in and do whatever work is necessary. And most of the time, I just work on whichever client is the maddest at us. So I go in and I work on anything that's getting behind or anyone who calls up and complains. I start working on those things. Whether it's good for that client or good for the company, we just fill time. We just spend our time being busy. And that is another issue with monthly recurring revenue that just gets baked into your service, is that your people just fill the day. Another part that causes some problems, not really about profitability, it's more about churn, lifetime value of a client, is that monthly recurring revenue is a justification for your existence every month. Every time you do reporting, every time you talk to your client, every time that there's an interaction, you are justifying your existence. And sometimes the client's unhappy at a point where you need to be justifying your existence. So if they're happy at the moment of renewal to the next 30 days, then great. They're going to be like, yeah, you guys are doing a great job. We love you so much. But if some downturn occurs, maybe not one created by you, but something else in their business, and there just happens to be a downturn of some kind, and they look at you and they look at the amount of money they're paying you every single month. We're paying you this money, and they say, nope, we're done. We're gonna end. You might have in your contract, you got to give us 30 days notice. And they'll go, okay, here's 30 days notice. Or they may just say, we're just not going to pay you because you're not going to do any work for the next 30 days. We're not going to pay you for work we don't need. So we're just done right now. And if you don't like that, well, take us to court over that one single month's payment. It's almost never worth it. So this happens when you hit the monthly renewal with a client at a time where they're just not happy, and it doesn't even have to be not happy with you. Now back to your people, back to you specifically. You start thinking, man, I'm entitled to this 30 days of money, and every single month I'm entitled to getting that check. Going back to doing the best work, like, are your employees doing the best work? Well, as long as we're doing okay results, we're getting good results for them, we don't have to do that. We just have to be systemized. We have to be productized. We don't have to do any innovation for our client. We just keep going. Which leads me to another part of that problem of where you're just entitled to the next payment. As time goes on, you're going to have a stagnant business. A previous client of mine, his business was starting to stagnate, and he stopped using me as his coach. And at the end of that, what I said was, you really need to innovate in your business. Well, a few years on, I heard from him, and his business has been in serious decline in the last year. Well, why? He stopped innovating. The rest of the market in his sphere have progressed while he was still doing his productized service, where he was still delivering the same things. His people were still delivering the same things that they were delivering 5 years ago. Marketing cannot be stagnant for 5 years. It doesn't work. Marketing can't be stagnant at all. It is always changing. And my former client Said, no, we're good, don't need your services anymore. Contacts me years later. Says, dude, for the last year, my business has been going down. Why? Because of that reliance on that monthly income. Oh, my clients just keep paying me every year. I've got clients who've been paying me for 3, 4, 5. I've even got some that have been with me for over a decade. They're happy. I'm happy. No need to innovate. Now, here's something that I got from David C. Baker, author of Business of Expertise. He wrote about this recently, and that is, we believe that if we keep a client paying us every month, that we will have a better client relationship. And he's observed it, I've observed it, and I think a lot of my clients have observed this too, which is there's an inverse relationship to the happiness of a client and the length of your relationship with them. Part of this is they're paying you monthly and they're getting good results, but they don't feel like they're getting the most out of their money. They're not getting any innovation. So then they start thinking, maybe I should just go somewhere else. And maybe they start asking you to do a lot of work that you say, no, that's not in the scope of what you're paying me. You need to pay me more money. And then they're like, I don't like that either. So the longer you have these kind of productized type services, the less likely your client is going to leave happy. Now, with all that said, what should you do? Should you have recurring revenue? Should you just do projects for your clients? And most businesses should just do projects. Do your diagnosis project right at the very beginning. Figure out what's going on. Next project, do the strategy. Create a plan for them. Then the third project is execute on it. And you're done. So one of the things that I've argued against is a thing that's going around for digital marketing agencies, social media marketing agencies, which is sell a 3-month contract. As soon as somebody comes in, you sell them a 3-month contract, they can pay you monthly. So let's say it's, and I've seen this exact number, $2,500 a month for 3 months. That's $7,500. I know the types of services being done. If it's just you and you want to make $2,500 a month from a client, you can do it part-time, and it's pretty good money. But if you want to build an agency, which is what the people saying you should do this, they're all saying you can build an agency this way. The idea is that you're going to do this $7,500, but over the course of 3 months, and it's a contract, and they're going to pay you this. But then most of those people never renew, and that's where you actually need them to renew, because that's where all your profit is. But if you do a project, if you do it as a project, you could charge $10,000, maybe even as much as $15,000 for the exact same service. And then you're profitable in that 3-month period. All the work that you would have done, you are actually profitable on it right then and there. You don't need them to renew and stay with you on a month-to-month so that you can make a profit eventually that year. You could actually bill appropriately for all the work that you're doing and all the value that you're delivering. You could bill that in the very first project. Then, if for some reason there is a real necessity for ongoing work, monthly recurring work, then and only then should you sell that. That's how you would do it correctly. Even if you have a reason to continue doing monthly recurring revenue, you're doing recurring services. It's labor, it's implementation. Eventually, they're going to think that labor's too expensive. So you need to really get involved with that business so that you can add additional projects, so that there's always a spike. So you're going along, you got this nice smooth revenue, nice smooth amount of work for your client, but then every so often you peak it, boom, another project. And then that way there's always something to be hyped about their working relationship with you, because it's not straight even all the way across. What happens is, as that relationship continues, there's a slight decline, and boom, drops off. All systems work like that, actually. There's a decline in the system, decline in efficiency in the system, and then they just fall off a cliff. that's your client relationships too. So the longer they last, the more it declines, and then eventually they fall off. But if you put periodic projects in there where you're providing great value on something else new and innovative inside that business for your client, those spikes are going to be spikes of happiness, which will allow them to want to work with you longer and longer. Because maybe every 6 months or maybe once a year, you do an additional project for them that creates something innovative, that creates extreme value for them. And then they're just going to just keep paying you that monthly revenue, because that other stuff's just like labor. They're cool with that. Like, oh yeah, we're cool with that. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Because they always remember those spikes of happiness. So you might be wondering, well, Tim, should I even be doing monthly recurring revenue? Let's first go into types of agencies that are overly reliant on the monthly recurring revenue model. We got search engine optimization. That's like right off the top of my head. That one, pretty much everyone has been doing monthly since the beginning of search engine optimization, like even when I got started in it back in 1998. Then we have advertising. So online advertising, we could call it search engine marketing. So paid ads, paid per click, Facebook ads, Facebook ad management, done on a monthly basis. PR is overly reliant. So we'll do stuff for you every single month to get you press. Then we have like content marketers, people who are focusing on creating articles or videos or any kind of content. They're doing it on a monthly basis too. Then let's see, conversion rate optimization. There's a lot of people trying to do that as a monthly subscription. There are a lot of types of agencies that think that they're going to get the best of everything out of being an agency by doing this monthly recurring revenue model, when in fact they'd probably be better off if they just focused on the projects, like I said. An example, an old acquaintance of mine out in Phoenix, Arizona, he was amazing at search engine optimization. And what he would do is he would charge $10,000 a month. Sounds like he's going to do the SEO monthly thing. He had a 12-month contract, and that was it. You were done. Basically, the reason it was 12 months was simply because of the time frame that a lot of search engine optimization work requires. So he focused on being able to do his process. So what you were buying for $120,000 was his process and the results that that process will give you. So he just allowed people to pay $10,000 a month, but the contract was for $120,000. And he would work with about 10 clients every year doing that. And he had a waiting list. And so at the end of a year, boom, you were gone. And the next person came on. Because one of the things he learned in doing search engine optimization was that over time, people started questioning his fee. And he personally wanted to make a very large income for the amount of work that he was doing. So he was making about $1.2 million on average every year, and he had one SEO assistant and one person handling the office work in his company. Another client who did AdWords, he started doing the same thing where he would do a project. He would build out the campaign or multiple campaigns that would run. So he'd build out the entire thing and he would get paid for that. He'd get paid for that first. And that tended to be in the six figures to build out those campaigns. He wasn't even running them yet, but he would build them out, do some testing to make sure that they were going to create the traffic that his clients were after. And then he would say, here, your internal team can handle this from here on out. And if they said, no, we want you to do it, and he'd be like, okay, great, but my fee is this. And they would say, no, we want you to do that. So he wasn't reliant on that monthly recurring revenue because his profit, his main business, was all around setting up successful campaigns. He was to set them up, to create them, to invent them, to be innovative. And then the monthly was just to keep it all going, to keep it all working for any of his clients that did not want their internal marketing team doing that labor. So his company would do that labor for them. If you do this type of project, then recurring revenue, you can be profitable throughout both of them. And you aren't reliant on that monthly recurring revenue. You're less worried about the churn that comes from a monthly recurring revenue dependent business. So look at your business. I'm saying you probably should have recurring revenue of some sort, but most of your revenue, most of your business probably should be project oriented. So that is how you do monthly recurring revenue correctly. Start off with a project, do diagnosis, then another project, which is strategy, planning, and then you do a third project, execution. You might be able to lump a couple of those together, strategy and execution, but I prefer 3 projects. And then if there's any reason to do monthly recurring services, monthly recurring labor to continue executing upon the plan that was created, then you do so. But you stay in touch with that client. You be a trusted advisor to that client so that you can do additional projects along the way to always give them a spike of happiness from working with you. All right, if you like this video, if you got value from this video, like, subscribe, do all the socials. And if you got questions, hit me in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you got. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.